Hello, welcome. This is Junnan Geng. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Today I'm going to talk about developing cities or the third world cities. Today I'm going to talk about the definition of third world, the characteristics of the most third world cities, and some main issues in the third world cities. Talking about third world, this is always a highly debated topic. Today I selected 4 different definitions from 4 different kinds of perspectives. The term third world firstly being formulated by a French economic historian called Alfred Sauvy, and it was published on a French magazine which is shown on the PowerPoint right now on August 14, 1952. Originally, it represented third estate in the French Revolution. There is another definition during the Cold War, and another one which is according to the UN Human Development Index, and one which is the most common partition. Partition during the Cold War. This idea comes from 1950s. The first world countries was a capitalist West, which meant countries aligned with the West or the United States. The Second World was a Soviet bloc, which was the nations aligned with communist Russia. The rest of the world are the third world, as we can see on the map. The blue-colored countries are first world countries, the red-colored are the second world countries, and the green-colored are the third world countries. Partition according to UN Human Development Index. As we can see on the map, the green-colored countries, they both have 0.8 or over on UN Human Development Index. They are all green-colored countries on the map. And yellow-colored countries are the second world countries. They have 0.5 to 0.799 on UN Human Development Index. And the rest of the countries which are red-colored countries, they have 0.499 or below on UN Human Development Index. The most common partition is based on the economy. First world countries are developed countries, for example, USA, most European countries, and Japan. The second world are those countries who are highly developing nations, or we can say new industrialized countries. For example, 4 Asian tigers, which are Hong Kong, South Korea, Singapore, and Taiwan, and some other countries who is currently highly developing. For example, China, Brazil, and India. The third world countries are those countries on the UN's list of the least developed nations. Most of them are African and Asian countries, and some of the Latin American countries are third world countries as well. Next, we are going to talk about characteristics of third world cities. Most of the third world countries are used to be colonies or semi-colonies or dependent countries of other developed countries. And because of the economies of underdeveloped countries have been geared to the needs of industrialized countries, they often compromise only a few modern economic activities, such as mining or growing crops. Control over these activities has often remained in the hands of large foreign firms. Excuse me. The price of third world products are usually determined by some large foreign firms instead of their domestic firms. And the trade with the West provides almost all the third world's income. Widespread poverty is also another characteristic of third world countries. Poverty, this is even the dominant image when you think of the term third world countries. Most of the third world countries, their highly dependent economies, devoted to producing primary products for the developed world and to provide markets for their finished goods. And when you look at their structures, most of the third world countries' structure is rural, and they both have a high population growth. According to the data in the article Third World Definition and Description, we can see in 1980, the Earth's population was 4.4 billion, and 72% of it in the Third World. And in 2000, the Earth's population grew to 6.2 billion, 80% of it in the Third World. And according to the World Population Data Sheet, in mid-2012, the Earth's population exceeds 7.06 billion, and 85% of them came from the Third World. Developing countries accounted for 97% of this growth. Next, I'm going to talk about some main issues in almost every Third World country. Lack of skilled workers and advanced technology. Third world countries usually have a low utilization ratio and a high waste on resources. The long-time poverty and strong desire of development sometimes leads wrong development priorities given to economic growth, often without thought or action related to environmental consequences. In too many cities, the developing philosophy is just like develop now and clean up later. Another serious situation in most third world countries are turbulent social situations. Most of the third world countries' governments have lack of political and financial power. This makes their countries struggling in different kinds of wars. Sometimes it is civil war, sometimes it is independent wars, and some other wars are cold wars, and some other wars on religions. Meanwhile, most of these countries need to get weapons and ammo and medic and supplies from countries like USA, Russia, or China at their wartime. This leads them deeper and deeper debts. And also, because a lot of children were born in the fighting situation, they become children soldiers at a very young age instead of going to school as they are supposed to. Without enough knowledge but full of anger, this negative circle makes these countries' future darker and darker. Another serious problem in most third world cities are HIV and other diseases. HIV is on verge of becoming the greatest epidemic in third world countries. There are 14 million people in the world living with AIDS. 65% are women, and 90% of the children who have AIDS and 60% of women who have AIDS are in sub-Saharan Africa. There are more than 11 million children die each year from other preventable health issues such as malaria, diarrhea, and pneumonia in third world countries. The most serious issue in third world probably is clean drinking water and hunger. There are more than a billion people in the world do not have access to clean drinking water. 400 million of them are children. And there are more than 870 million people in the world don't have food every day or don't have enough food every day. This number is more than the population of US and European Union combined. 60% of them are women. 50% of women in third world countries are still starving hunger when they are pregnant, and there are around 2.6 million children dead in sub-Saharan Africa every year. That means one child every 5 seconds. These are the references of my research. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Have a nice day.